Last fall, my partner Brett and I found an old drone that a previous student had left behind after graduating. We tinkered around with it and found how to switch the controls to what we wanted and began learning how to fly. Going to ask Mr. Tweed to buy us the new GoPro camera, but he had bigger plans for us. So far, we've used the drone to give people a better idea of what the reserve and many other places look like from the air. The big picture for the drone was to be able to transform the Wildlands video program into something like never before. Through this project, I've learned to use all the features on the drone and many I didn't know about on our new video editing software. I'm leaving a legacy here by teaching other students how to use the drone so we can continue to get amazing footage of the variety of learning opportunities students at Wildlands have access to.
I chose to spend my senior year studying my love for dance through an internship at Wildlands School of Dance. My intention was to learn about and gain experience in dance teaching, choreography, and small business management. Every week, I spent between 8 through 15 hours teaching, helping at dance competitions, and working on small side projects. Some of these projects include choreographing a dance flash mob for the Dyslexia Center of Upper Wisconsin's annual fundraiser, and going through the dance audition and interview process for a dance scholarship at St. Olaf College. Throughout this internship, I've been able to strengthen my communication skills, gain experience working with professionals in the community, work with a student with developmental needs, and take myself out of the role of a student and place myself into a leadership position. As a former student tasked with instructing former classmates, this was perhaps the biggest challenge I faced. Overall, I am so grateful to have spent my senior year doing what I love, and I am beyond excited to continue to study dance next year at St. Olaf College.
During my sophomore year, I began Cultivate with two fellow students, Helen and Zoe. We began by writing a grant to Mayo Clinic and later received the funds to start the project. Our beginning stages consisted of ordering and receiving supplies and building our 3 tower gardens along with our wall garden. Originally, our wall garden presented the most problems and took a lot of trial and error to complete. This project I decided to carry into my senior year and use it as my senior project. My main focus for my senior project was to continue the project and to recruit a team of underclassmen who would be interested in continuing Cultivate in the years to come. I've had great success finding a new team to take over the project. I spent hours teaching the team about setup, planting, maintaining, and cleaning. I've also created additional resources for the team to utilize next year when I'm no longer there for backup. I am completely confident that these students have the skill, drive, and determination to keep Cultivate up and running for the years to come. Cultivate has taught me countless things over the years. It has taught me teamwork skills and how to face and overcome obstacles as a team, as well as leadership skills and how to lead a team, and many other useful skills I can utilize throughout the rest of my life.
I led a small group of 7 people who were interested in molecular biology. To begin, we watched videos and had discussions about DNA, enzymes, protein, heredity, and genetic engineering. Our first lab was a forensic fingerprinting lab. In this lab, we were given a crime scene DNA sample along with the DNA of 5 suspects. Our goal is to figure out which suspect committed the crime. We did this by mixing an enzyme into the DNA to cut a specific DNA sequence that will display a unique amount of base pairs in different people. Then we ran the samples through electrophoresis to measure the base pairs and figure out who committed the crime. For our second DNA lab, we did a PCR lab. To do this lab, we had to collect DNA from everyone, either from cheek cells or hair. Then we had to extract and denature the DNA samples. After this, we amplified the samples and ran it through electrophoresis with different controls to look at our results. This allowed us to see our ALU type of our PV92 gene as either positive positive, positive negative, or negative negative. In our final lab, our goal was to make E. coli bacteria glow using a sequence of DNA from a jellyfish. We had to make agar that had specific combinations of ampicillin and arabinose. Next, we grew E. coli on agar and mixed it with the P-glow plasmid. When we grew it on the plate that had both ampicillin and arabinose, it grew and glowed. This happened because the E. coli was resistant to ampicillin and the arabinose expressed the gene in the P-glow and made it glow under UV light. Leading this project allowed me to dig much deeper into molecular biology and will allow the group to continue DNA work for years to come.
I designed a restoration project as my senior project. The goal of the project was to fix and revitalize things around the school. The first thing I decided to fix was the weatherhawk on top of the school building. We had to take it down and make sure it was in working condition, to find and reconnect a radio transmitter so we could transfer information between it and a computer, and install the software to read what the weatherhawk was recording. The second project I decided to revitalize was the creek wall project. For this project, a small group of us took the plant wall previously made by students and filled some of the extra space in with an indoor creek. First designing and building the framework, and then seeding the creek with natural water and sand from creeks around the reserve. Third and lastly, I, along with a small team, rebuilt a non-functioning 3D printer. For this, we had to rewire the entire machine, reflash the firmware, as well as replace some broken parts. By completing these projects, I was able to develop my leadership skills, have a deeper understanding of firmware, and knowledge of the school's many resources.
This year for my senior project, I created a wildlife children's book. To create my book, I had to conduct a lot of research about each animal I wanted to list in my book, as well as gathering pictures I had taken of those animals in the past. I created the book on Shutterfly so that it was easy to print later on. After completing the book, we through a strenuous editing process before we could send it to the printer. Once completed, I sent out an email to the kindergarten through second grade teachers in Augusta Elementary School to set up a time where I could visit their classrooms and read them my book. This experience was a really positive way to end my senior year. I was able to complete something that meant a lot to me. My hopes for the future are to be able to raise money and donate my books and proceeds to kids at St. Jude Hospital.
My senior project was designing, creating, and testing a robot that draws on a whiteboard. I chose this project because I thought it would be a fun and unique learning experience. I've always wanted to build a robot, and I thought it would be a good senior project. To start, I consulted with my dad, who's an engineer, and he helped me design the robot. Then I acquired the parts and pieces that would be needed to build it, and started building and programming it. I programmed the robot using the operating system GRBL, which made it easier to program. I encountered many problems throughout this project, like when I blew out one of the motor control boards. So I switched the motor from the X-axis to the Z-axis on the robot itself and the programs and got it working again. Even though I was only able to get it to draw one line, I still learned a lot about the processes and the technology used in making robots, and I had a great time working on the project.
This year, I was given the opportunity to pursue one of my main passions, outdoor education, as a part of my senior project. Throughout my outdoor education internship, I have been an assistant trip leader on nearly every Wildlands trip. These trips have allowed me to build upon my base of leadership and team building skills, and I've been able to work closely with students in both the middle and high school. To add to my project, I decided to obtain a Wilderness First Responder certification. This is an intensive 10-day course that focuses on the skills necessary to diagnose and treat urgent and emergent conditions in the wilderness. This certification not only made me more of an asset on Wildlands trips, but provided me with a greater passion for medicine as a possible career path. I feel that the experiences I have had throughout this internship have truly prepared me for every challenge that is yet to come.